I define assessment as a method of collecting information that tells me how someone is learning.
So when thinking about student-centered assessment, there are three domains you want to consider: the format, who's participating, and what's being assessed. One of the most important aspects is that the kids are involved. The format can be really wide for this, and that might be an exit ticket from your class. It might be a quiz. It might be a project. It might be a round of critique.
As a student, it's incredibly helpful to know the criteria before going into a project so that you know exactly what to do and have a better understanding of the expectations before a project starts to create something that you're truly proud of.
So Behind the Scenery was a local ecosystem documentary project that we did in 11th grade.
We actually built the rubric as a class. We put it all together. We picked out different stages and different groups that would go together. So inside of visuals, we said that the shots, we needed to use different shots. We needed to include B-roll. It was really helpful to have all of those in one place.
We would do something and then we'd seek feedback, and then we would get really insightful feedback from so many different people. Our documentarian partnerships really helped us hone in on the very technical aspects of the film itself, where the political and Native people were really able to help us kind of narrow down our focus to what the land means, what it has to offer, and kind of the message of our film.
The type of assessment that we'll often think about is this idea of self-assessment and reflection and self-awareness of how you're doing in terms of your learning and growth and progress towards benchmarks in the project. The next concentric circle is peer assessment. So this is using regular peer feedback, peer conversations, peer critique cycles to help students get a better understanding of how they're learning and growing and making progress. And then there's the teacher's role in assessment, which traditionally it has been that's the main person in charge of assessment. But I like to think of the shifting role of the teacher, where they're selecting student work to use as exemplars, selecting work from professional sources to use as exemplars in the process, and then facilitating those classroom conversations. The final concentric circle is the community. And so as we design authentic projects for an audience outside of the classroom, the community members give the most authentic version of feedback to the students on their work. When that can be achieved, that's one of the most beautiful forms of assessment, and it's usually received with a lot of weight from students because they know they made this work for an audience outside of themselves, and so what that audience thinks is of utmost importance.
So an example might be if you have a project involving architecture, you might bring in architects from the outside world or from your school community and have them evaluate the students' work, help them see what they're seeing, help them see it through their professional lens.
We can use assessments to help students understand what they're learning and how it's going, whether it's content knowledge, skills, or habits of mind.
A lot of our assessments are reflections, so we're constantly thinking about how we're learning and how our learning is growing and changing as a student.
I always like to tell my students we all might be in the same room, but we're all in a different place.